Is everything irritating you lately? Do people feel slower? Do emails feel heavier? And do small little things trigger you and they really shouldn't? Like, you should be calmer, should be more in control. Here's the danger. Nothing feels bad enough to really fix it until things happen, things break, and they force you to. What we're trying to do here is catch it before you break. Welcome to Longevity Masters. I'm your host, Grant Hutchby, and this show exists to help male midlife entrepreneurs reverse their biological age and take control of the one asset that matters most: time. Your body needs to be treated with the same attention, structure, and planning as your business. The difference is simple. You can build many businesses, but you only get one body. We're building the world's first biological time machine, designed specifically for male entrepreneurs to turn back time and add more to their life and more life to their years. My mission over the next few years is simple: to give 1,000 male entrepreneurs at least 10 years back of high performance life. That's 10,000 years of time given back to male entrepreneurs. Today, we're diving into serotonin and how this affects your body and your business, and obviously your ability to turn back time. Now let's dive in. Serotonin is a little bit misunderstood, and if you don't know what it is, that's okay. This will help. And I want to clear up a few things about serotonin before we really get into stuff. So I've got a couple things written down here that I just want to make sure that I get right so that you understand exactly what serotonin is. First off, it's not happiness. It's not motivation. Sometimes people think it's this feel-good hormone, but it's not. Low serotonin equals poor regulation, not depression. It helps you regulate everything that goes on inside your body. It helps keep your mood in check. It helps you stay on the right level, as opposed to letting frustration, stress, and all those life pressures get the better of you. So like I said, serotonin isn't the feel-good hormone. It's a regulator hormone. And there is obviously a subtle difference, because activating serotonin will obviously make you feel better. However, it's a way of regulating and resetting your nervous system so that it can perform at the highest possible level. So I want to get into my story around how, on reflection, I saw that there was a mismanagement of serotonin. So for me, there was no real moment. There was no real catastrophic event with regards to my health that made me think, God, I need to change. What it was a very slow progression over time, and little things would creep in. I wouldn't be able to focus for as long on my work. I would be a bit more irritable than I was before. Obviously, I had got fatter and things like that, but this all was because I wasn't managing my serotonin effectively. And what eventually happened over time was injuries crept back in. I wasn't able, again, to focus. I would be snappy with my kids, and it wasn't any major stuff. It was just me not being at my best, and there being just a gradual, slow decline. As mentioned in previous episodes, when we eventually were doing 7 figures a year, I thought it was my rite of passage to enjoy the newfound wealth that we found. And my definition of enjoyment back then was expensive alcohol, was going on luxurious holidays, staying in fancy hotels, fine dining. And while that's great to experience all that stuff, and I would never take any of that stuff back, and had some amazing moments with Kay and the kids and everything, what that made me forget was actually the things that I needed to do to not have fun, but to look after my body in the way that I should. And because I was doing all these things, it made me forget about how to regulate my mood. And obviously didn't know it at the time because I didn't have such knowledge that I have now. And what essentially was happening, there were lots of other things happening, but specifically with serotonin, was I was not doing the general daily practices anymore and certain things to break up my day to release serotonin, reset my nervous system, and be able to go back to my family, my work, and the things that I needed to be present for, that I needed to be high performing for. I wasn't doing that at my best. I'll give you an example. So I would, instead of doing 90 minutes of high performance, working on a task, and then taking a strategic break where I either meditated, went for a walk, or simply just sat in silence and had a proper break for 5 minutes, I would either totally stop work altogether and then go and eat something unhealthy or put something in my body to stimulate it. If it was later on in the day, that might have been alcohol. If it was earlier on in the day, that might have been paracetamol and codeine on my back. But what I would take the paracetamol and codeine to feel good, even if I didn't have pain in my back, because I was in such a routine of taking paracetamol and codeine on a regular basis. It was every day at some points, really high dosages, but it even went down to a few times a week and maybe once a week, but was still in a rhythm of doing that stuff. And I would put stimulants into my body like caffeine and coffee and energy drinks, and I would use that stuff to make me feel good, as opposed to the actual practices that made me reset my nervous system. So that's why serotonin isn't a feel-good hormone, it's a system reset. And like I said before, while it does make you feel better, it resets and levels out your nervous system so that it lowers things like cortisol and adrenaline and all of the things that put stress on your body. Like with adrenaline, which we'll talk about in future episodes, that needs to be used in short bursts and then reset. Adrenaline is overused, it causes way too much stress on your body, spikes cortisol later on in the day when you shouldn't be spiking it, and makes sleep and everything a lot more difficult. Recovery, because your body isn't able to recover. Because if you imagine, adrenaline is like a fight or flight mode. It is as if you were running away from a predator, as an example, and you don't want to be in that mode all the time. You only need to be in that mode when you're doing bouts of intense exercise or high performance work or deep focus. You need a little bit of adrenaline there to get the most out of the session, but it doesn't last for very long. And that again is a future rhythm that we talk about, which is the ultradian cycle. So serotonin is within the clean cycle of the turn back time machine. So when we're looking at the turn back time machine, I try and relate it as if it were a business. Your body is the company. The cycles of your body are like the departments. So fix is operation, clean is marketing, and build is sales. And we do have a reflect, which is finance, which is another thing that we'll talk about in the future. But we're in clean now. So technically we're in the marketing part. And the reason why it's marketing is because what we're trying to do is we're trying to make our bodies look and feel as good as we possibly can. And that's what marketing is all about. Marketing is all about making your business look and feel really good, so it attracts people in. And that's what we're trying to do, is we're trying to attract the right things into our body. Success is something that you attract, not something that you pursue. And that was a great quote from Jim Rohn in saying that success is something that we attract, and if we're always gunning for success, then maybe we're not doing the right stuff. But anyways, so we're in the clean marketing cycle of the turn back time machine, and serotonin, interestingly, is one of the employees within the marketing department. And serotonin sort of sits under the team of brand. The brand needs to feel right, and serotonin is all about feeling. And with serotonin are like the designers. So they design how you feel within your body. And if you don't do the right things to let the designers loose, they can't design a body that feels the way that it should feel. And again, not about feeling good, but feeling right, feeling on the level, feeling the way that it should feel in between these short bursts of high performance. Serotonin should put you in the place that you should be in most of the time, so that when something comes in that you need to make a decision on, you're in the right place to make that decision. And then when you act, that's when other hormones kick in to make sure that you perform at the highest level. And because you've reset your nervous system, what allows it to happen is it allows these other hormones that allow you to perform at the highest level, it allows them to come in at the right level in the right way, because they're not overused. And that's the point about hormones being the employees within your business. Employees can't work all the time. And there are certain employees that have harder jobs than others. So what that means is adrenaline, it's got a much harder job. It's got to work a lot harder, so it's not able to work for as long. A bit like a groundsman, right? So if you think about a groundsman or someone that's working on the ground, or like a salesperson that's got to work in short bursts and highly focused bursts, they can't do that for ages. They need to do it in short bursts. But other employees are able to tick over, do certain things that they need to do, like the designers. They can sit at their desk because they're not running around and doing really high focus stuff all the time. They're able to work for longer periods. So that's why serotonin is sort of like your reset, the designers, because it designs the way that you should be, and they can work for a lot longer than things like adrenaline, who in later episodes we'll describe as salespeople, like closers and setters, and they work in high performance. So it's just something to think about with regards to what serotonin actually does. So hopefully that gives you a bit better understanding on the use of serotonin and why it's really important to level yourself out. But it's doing the right things to level yourselves out. In terms of entrepreneurs burning out and burning the candle at both ends, whatever that looks like for you, that's where the activation of serotonin comes really, really useful. And what we do wrong, which was in the previous episode for dopamine, is instead of doing things like meditation, going for a walk, breathing for 5 minutes, sitting in silence, or just taking 5 minutes to write down your thoughts and get things out of your brain, we default to things like coffee, energy drinks, scrolling on social media to try and have a break and reset ourselves, when actually we're taking easy hits of dopamine, like in the previous episode, and that doesn't effectively activate serotonin. What we need to utilize is the positive things of dopamine and catching a good perception of what feels good, which is where dopamine comes in. So you're motivated to do positive things that release serotonin, like the meditation, like the breathing exercises, like going for a walk, like taking time for yourself or journaling. If we do those things and really take the time to do it, and it depends on where you are in the day and how much stress load you've had so far. If it's your first 90-minute bout of high intense work that you're doing, deep work, you might only need 5-10 minutes to reset yourself to go back in to do another 90 minutes. But if you've done a couple, you may need to take a much longer break, like go for an hour's walk or half an hour walk and a bit of a meditate. That will reset your nervous system and activate the release of serotonin. And I know that if we were to swap out some of the things that we normally do to take a break, like having a coffee, having an energy drink, stimulating your body in a unproductive way, like scrolling through social media, or maybe even going and watching a Netflix program. There's nothing wrong with watching Netflix, but you don't really want to be doing that during the day, because it depletes your ability to release serotonin, because you're stimulating your body to feel good as opposed to calming your body down. Another practice is non-sleep deep rest and circular breathing. Breathing in for 4 seconds through your nose and out for 6 seconds through your mouth. Like that circular breathing is another way of resetting your nervous system. If you get too much stimulus in, while it gives you that dopamine hit and makes you feel a little bit better, it doesn't release the serotonin effectively and reset your nervous system. So that's how we get burnt out. We might think that we're taking breaks, but actually we're just re-stimulating our body in another way. And when that happens, we get the release of dopamine. The adrenaline and the cortisol that we built up doesn't come down effectively. It's sustained at a high level. And then when you go back, you're burning yourself out because these other hormones are still at a really high level. But if you do the right things to reset your nervous system, what happens is serotonin is released. All the other hormones get a chance to rest and come down to their baseline level. And serotonin comes up to reset you, put you back into your normal self, where you should be all the time, calm, collected, and in control. And then what happens is once you properly reset, heart rates come down, nervous system is back where it needs to be. You're all on a level playing field because serotonin has been released properly. You can then go back into an intense period work or high performance, maybe even go to the gym if it's your time to go to the gym, if you prefer going to the gym in the middle of the day or whatever. But your next high intense performance of work, because the other hormones have come down to baseline, they can then effectively go back up again and you've got yourself back into a much higher performance. Now, obviously, there's only a certain amount of times you can do that throughout the day, and we'll talk about this in further rhythms and further episodes. There's only a certain amount of times you can do that throughout the day before you need to properly reset. The only way you can properly reset is by going to sleep. And that's why you need to have a great wind down routine, which is what we talked about in the melatonin episode, so that growth hormone can be released overnight and properly repair your body so that you can just go again. And that's why we need to make sure that we do the right things at different points throughout the day so that we wake up fully recovered and we can actually do the day again. That's what happens with burnout and the lack of using serotonin and resetting your body throughout the day. What ends up happening is you burn, crash at the end of the day. You're not ready for sleep because you've kept all of your awake hormones and your performance hormones alive all day and burning out all of your other systems. So it's more difficult to go to sleep, and that's where you feel wired, but more difficult to go to sleep. When you eventually do get to sleep because you're tired and you're crashed and whatever, you don't release the right hormones overnight, don't repair properly, and then you wake up groggy, foggy, and even if you wake up okay, your recovery won't be as good, your sleep won't be as good, and then you do the same again. And too many cycles of that is what causes burnout. And serotonin is the key to avoiding burnout. And if you can get this right, and it doesn't take much time throughout the day, not only will you perform better when you need to perform, but you'll recover a hell of a lot better and able to stay at that high performance level for as long as you want to. And that's the greatest thing. Instead of working 8, 9, 10, 12 hours a day constantly and burning yourself out, you can work 6 hours in the day, which is like 4 hour-and-a-half stints of high performance work. You can work 6 hours in the day and probably get more done because you're able to make decisions better, think clearer, and get things done quicker in those periods. And then you recover better, feel better, and therefore you will age slower. And that's the whole point, aging slower, because burning out makes you age quicker because and ultimately you want your loved ones to get the best of you. You want your teams and the people that you interact with on a day-by-day basis to get the best of you. And if you do what I'm telling you in this episode by resetting your nervous system, that is exactly what will happen. You'll perform better when you need to, and you'll be better for the people around you. And that's what matters, because what we're doing here is adding more life to our years, and therefore we will add more years to our life. And now we're getting to the end of the episode. I want to encourage you to share, subscribe, and pass this over to anyone that you think that needs it. And have a look in the show notes. You can download our free toolkit, which will get you on your way to really managing your life effectively and getting much higher performance, much better life, enjoy your life much more, and also extend your life much further. So feel free to download the toolkit. It's on bookresources.thecarnivoreentrepreneur.com. That might be changing in the future. However, we'll always be able to access it through that, and it's in the show notes. So please download the toolkit, put your details in. We'll keep you up to date with anything extra that we have coming in. And all I want you to remember is just to be young, be happy, and be free, people.